Hey everyone, Douglas here from Draftbit. In today's video, I'll be walking you through how to use the modal component effectively. So what is a modal? A modal is basically a component inside Draftbit that allows us to overlay content on top of the entire screen, blocking interactions with other components until it's closed. You typically use a modal for things like alerts, confirmation dialogues, or input forms. So how do we preview a modal? So to preview the modal, you basically need to make sure that you're not inside the draft view. So in Draftbit, we have this draft view, we have this web view, iOS preview, and Android preview. So modals, they do not view in draft view. You need to be in web view or the other two. So yeah, let's go ahead and create the modal. So first thing is first, we go ahead to our component tree. We click here to add a new component. So just search for modal. Okay, we have our modal created. We close that. Next thing, so here we go to the property editor. So on styles, we have various styles that we can add to the modal. Then here we can put a name as well as animation type. Then on the data, this is what we're most likely going to look at first. So here is visible property. So by default, right now we can't see. So we switch from draft view to web view. And then we'll be able to see our modal. So right now we have a black background on the whole screen. So our modal is going to come in and it's going to have a white background. And then once that loads, you'll be able to see. We can now see the modal. So if we come here, so by default it's visible. We come here and we can change that to false. And then you're going to see it's going to no longer be visible. Okay. Yeah, because ideally what we want to do is want to be able to control this from a button or from a certain action. So yeah, first things first, how we do that, we come here where it says variables, we create a new variable, call this variable open modal, this type of boolean, and initially it's false. We save. Okay, we go back to our modal here, and then we're going to link this visible property on our modal to the variable that we just created. And right now it's false, so it's going to disappear. Okay, we go back to the component tree, we create a button. Okay, we come here. So I want this button to say open modal. Give the button a bit of margin so it's not touching the edges. Okay, go to the interactions of the button, and then on press of the button, right? What we want to happen? We want to trigger an action. So on press, then this opens the action editor. In the action editor, we go to the search, and then so there's this thing called set variable. So it basically allows us to change a certain variable. And the variable that we want to change is the open modal. We want to change that. So initially it was false. When we click the button, we want to change it to true. And then what happens? So when you click this, the variable we created is going to be changed to true. And then what does that do? Remember, that's directly linked to the modal. Once we change that, the modal is going to become visible. Right? We click and you see the modal is going to become visible. But then now we can't close the modal, right? So we need another button here that when we clicked, it closes the modal. So inside the modal, let's have a button, an icon button, ideally. Right? Yeah, so we can't really see what's happening since it's not open, but let's just go ahead. So icon button, close. Okay, perfect. Right, let's style it a bit. So basically what we just need to do for this is, okay, position, we're not concerned with that, margin, right? We just want to give it margin top so that it's not on the edge, then margin left, then perfect. Then lastly, we need to add an action. Open modal. Then remember, to close is just going to be false, right? But then we can also do something called toggling, right? So yeah, for this situation, it's not really ideal, but for different situations, you can do what is called toggling. So toggling is just going to be the opposite of what the previous value was. So here for new value, right, we would say open modal, right? Then we'd go to transform, then we'd say negate. So this just says whatever this open modal value was, just do the opposite, right? So that's also another way we can do it. So here we open, we click. So our open modal is now true. So when we click, it's going to negate the value. Then that's going to be false. Then the modal will close. Then yeah, we have our, okay, perfect. And then one other thing that we usually want to do when we're doing modals. So modals usually don't cover the whole screen. So you might have a modal that's like half the height. How we do that here. So we come here on our modal. So go back to our component tree. Add new, then view. Okay. So we want a view here. Inside that view, we want to create another view. All right. Inside that view, we want, okay, for now, let's just do that. Okay. This icon, we're going to put it in the innermost view. Perfect. Then this view inside our model, we're going to give it a flex of 1. Okay. Perfect. And then when we open, so not much has changed. That's okay. We come here to our view. So inside here, whatever is in our view, we want it to be at the bottom, right? And then here in our view, we give this view a background color. You're going to see in a moment what this is doing. So let's just say divider is the color. That's just going to be a light background. We open. Okay, so here you see it's now at the bottom, right? Let's give it a bit of height. So let's say 70%. Okay, and then you can see, so both the backgrounds are white, but basically you can see that this view with the icon is now 70% of the height. Then to see what's behind this, so in our model, we have this property called transparent. So it allows us to be able to see what's behind. We turn that on, open, and then you can see we now have this model. We go back to our view. So usually you see these models with a bit of radius. Not usually on all corners, but left and right. So left, right. Okay, perfect. So yeah, so this is usually the model that you see, right? And then we can open it, we can close it, right? And then, yeah, but then usually there's a certain feature that I've seen in models where when you open it, when you click outside, it closes, right? So how do we do that? We come back to our view and we click here on add components. And what we want is called a touchable. So in this same place, we have this thing called a touchable. Yeah. And then this touchable. So in Draftbit, this allows us to be able to add an interaction. So an on press can be added to this view. So we come back to this view, then we click open model. So this whole area. So let's come back to the touchable, give it a height. So since that's 70%, let's give the touchable 30%. Okay, that would make sense. We click, and then you can see. So just looking at my cursor, here is a normal pointer cursor. Then here it's showing you that we can click this area. So once we click this outside, what do we want to happen? Right now we haven't set that. So we click on the touchable, we go on interactions, on press, set variable. Okay, what variable do you want to set? The open model. We want to set that to false. So false is to close the model. We come back to our model, and I think that's now okay. We click open model, it opens, and we can close. We click open model. If we click inside, nothing happens. If we click on the outside, it closes. So yeah, that's just some behavior that I've seen that on some applications have, and that's how you can do it. Okay, let's go back to our model. So in our model, if you come here where it says configs, right, there's this thing called animation type. So we have different ways that our model can appear, right? So right now when we click, it's just flashing onto the screen, right? But then usually you see these models, they kind of slide in. So here where it says animation type, we have slide, right? When we say open model, you see it now slides in. We close, it now slides out. We have this fade. Yeah, so these are pretty self-explanatory. It just kind of fades in. It fades out. When we say none, it goes back to the default, where it just flickers in, flickers out. Okay, so now we have what we call presentation styles. So presentation styles, we go in our model, we click. Okay, so now let's go back to our model. So in the component tree, and then yeah, we have what are known as presentation styles. So what are presentation styles? So this is a way of how we can present the model in different modes, but only on an iOS device. So this works only on an iOS device. So on Android and other devices, the model is just going to appear a certain type of way. But then on iOS devices, we can change how we want our model to appear, right? So the first type is called a full screen. So let's select that. So the full screen, the model takes up the entire screen. So it's like a new page. So this is great for tasks that need the user's full attention, like a form. So basically when we don't want the user to be distracted by things that are behind the screen, basically. So when we click open model, you see everything disappears. It's just a model that is in full view. We close that, we can see our button comes back, right? And for you to understand this, we need to show it in contrast with over full screen. So over full screen is similar to full screen, but with transparency. So the background remains visible. So this is perfect for, layered effects like notifications, basically when you want the user to still be able to see what's behind. So let's open. As you can see, our model appears, but we can still see what's behind. So perfect for maybe payment screens. So payment models. Here, the user is entering in their credit card information. Below, they can see like the package that they're paying for. So that's perfect for that. Now, next up, we have page sheet. So page sheet slides up from the bottom, and on larger devices like an iPad. So that's why I have this iPad open. It becomes centered, and you can see the left side, you can see the right side. And we can see what's on the left, we can see what's on the right, we can see what's on the top. So that's page sheet. And then we have form sheet. So form sheet, it's a smaller centered window appearing even smaller. So let's try that and see. And you can see it's now small and it's now centered, right? So this is ideal for login forms, for notifications. When you want to notify the user of something, we need a small sort of like model like this. Yeah, and I think that's it for models. If you have any questions or run into issues, please feel free to drop a comment down below. Like, comment, share, and yeah, subscribe. Thank you for watching the video.